So what are some of the things that are in there? This is stuff I want you to be looking for, but it's also reasons why I'm trying to convince you, you need to be reading this. At any rate, in here they have consent to photographs, video, and audio recordings. So I don't mind if they have to take images of me and things like that for certain things, but I crossed out in any and all forms. Ooh, no, that doesn't sound legit. Then it says these pictures will be used for purposes related to treatment, including surgical procedures. Yeah, I want them to use the technology that they have at their disposal to treat me. Yes, I want that. But then they continue the sentence, for scientific and educational purposes. That doesn't sound like it's about me. That's about teaching other people. Or healthcare operations. Yeah, that's not about my treatment. Such as quality assurance. No, you're not going to use pictures of me and my body to teach people how to have quality assurance in the workplace. So I crossed that off. Now they wanted me to sign this electronically. So number one, don't. Tell them you want to read the whole form. In fact, they had the form laminated and taped to the desk, and then they had a little signature pad there. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know that that's what I'm signing anyway. It's not a whole screen where I'm seeing the document and throwing my signature on there like in a PDF program or something. No, I'm not going to just sign this signature pad anyway. So I did sign the mediation form that way because I'm fine with mediation. I'm fine with doing mediation. I'm fine with not doing mediation. But the rest of it, I said no. So what's the next on this that I want you to think about? Some things that are on here. So financial responsibility and authorization to review credit reports to get a necessary medical treatment. In consideration of the services to be rendered to me, I understand that I am responsible for and agree to pay upon presentation and demand any charges that are not covered or not paid by any responsible party. No. And in there, that's with the insurance. No, I don't agree to do that because what does that mean? So when you have a surgery, even outpatient, for example, for me, I had my outpatient surgery. There's a facility fee. There is the surgeon's fee. There is the anesthesiologist's fee. The radiologist ends up looking to make sure the marker was removed with the rest of the tumor. And so there's a radiologist fee. He wasn't there that day, but the sample got sent down and he did his thing with the sample. There's at least another one. I can't remember, but there's anesthesiology, radiology, surgery, and then the facility fee. At least those 4 things, but I know there's a 5th one out there. I just can't remember what it is. At any rate, so far, we just checked today because I haven't received the bills yet. So far, the facility, when they gave me the, and there's something in here about getting an estimate of charges, right? That I'm signing that I have a right to get that. I fought for the 3 weeks prior to this surgery to get that. They never gave it to me. So that very day, they finally magically called up and they were able to get it. And sure enough, my share is supposedly $20,000 and the full bill for just the facility is $25,000. Funny thing is, they billed over $28,000. And the surgeon's fee is not on there yet. The anesthesiologist somehow it's ringing up as being out of network. Now, I didn't have the opportunity to have to get a say about who the anesthesiologist is, and I asked if their anesthesiologist was in network, and no one at the insurance company or at the facility would give me that information, and basically gave me the, yeah, they should be in network. And I specifically said, I do not accept any out-of-network providers at all. I'm not going to pay for that because what does that mean? For those of you who don't understand how typical insurance works, for us, my individual out-of-pocket maximum for in-network is $6,900. For out-of-network, it is $12,000. $12,000. $1,000. So it basically almost doubles versus in-network to out of network. And so I would pick only in-network people, right? Yeah. At any rate, so if you have something like that, cross off the line where it's going to imply that you have to pay for any out of network. There's another sentence later on in this paragraph that says, I understand that providers or other healthcare professionals may be involved in providing me care that may or may not participate in my health plan, which may affect my coverage for their professional services, and that may not be included in my hospital bill. Okay, so that's the anesthesiologist who's now supposedly out of network. Guess what? I crossed that sentence off because I want nothing to do with any of those people. And I told them verbally that I was not okay with that. So tell them verbally, but cover yourself and put it in writing. Do not sign to anything that says this. And if you say something verbally, but you are signing to something in writing, the writing controls. Verbal contracts only go so far. When there is a written contract, that overrules anything verbal. Okay, so this is a special one. And again, this is essentially a hospital's version of a consent form. This isn't just one particular provider. This is essentially just for the facility charges. It just says notice, right? This whole damn thing should be a notice, but it says notice. Hospital may use your identifiable health information, including your social security number, to verify the accuracy of the information you provide for insurance and payment purposes, to help identify and prevent fraud and other criminal activity. Okay, like, I'm on board with that. I get where they're going with that so far. To match, verify, or retrieve existing information. Yes, to make sure they have the same patient when they're pulling up my records. I mean, I have breast cancer. I'm going to have either some sort of ongoing treatments or at least monitoring for quite some time. So yeah, I want them to verify it's the same person. To prevent medical errors. Yes, I want to prevent medical errors. But then the last thing says, and for research activities. Cross that off if you have that on there. They want to use my social security number and other personal identifying health information for research? No, I do not give consent for that. Okay, so that's all just on one form, guys. There are two others I want to give you examples of because this is crazy. So these next two actually just came from just getting the genetic testing. This isn't even somebody who is like doing a service like on me, if you will. They're collecting the sample and sending it off for the genetic testing. Now, and the person herself was phenomenal to deal with. I won't go into a lot of details and waste your time on that, but she was phenomenal. And she's like, if you don't even sign the forms, I'm okay with that. I just want to help you and I want to get this done. But I want you guys to know the kinds of things you're looking for. So for example, and one of these forms I was told, well, two of these forms actually, she's part of a hospital system here, a different hospital system. And that hospital system, I've never been there before. So these two forms, I was told, would apply for the whole calendar year with any provider that I would see within that hospital system. Don't know if that'll be. I actually do think my next surgery will be in this hospital system. So this form is already done. But anyway, services, consent to treatment, the first main paragraph about this. So you have your like description paragraph, and then, sorry guys, I'm going to try to do this the right way. Consent to treatment services. Okay, so I consent to diagnostic and treatment procedures, examinations and laboratory procedures, or inpatient admission or other items needed for my treatment during my admission to or treatment at this particular hospital by doctors and other medical professionals, residents, students, integrated physician networks, health plan networks, et cetera, et cetera. I personally crossed off students. I don't want students. This is not Grey's Anatomy. I'm not subject for a teaching hospital. and I don't believe it was a teaching hospital, but even if it is a teaching hospital, that doesn't mean I have to consent to students trying to touch me or do anything with my case. I'm expressly denying consent for that. Just something to keep in mind when you guys might find yourself in these situations. Now, keep in mind, especially for those of you who are like, well, I don't really have anything huge medical going on. I don't really go to the doctor much, yada, yada, yada. Then you're the person I'm speaking to the most about this, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up, you or your child or your spouse is going to get hit by a bus or have a broken bone or like something major. You're like, oh my gosh, we have to go to the hospital now. And then you're freaking out because you're like, what kind of forced vaccinations are they going to do? What kind of questions are they going to ask? Whatever, right? And they're going to try to force a bunch of treatments on you that you're not comfortable with. So you have that stuff to worry about. Well, you need to make sure you are aware of the kinds of things that are going to sneak in here so that when you're in the height of being the most stressed that you could possibly be because you have this medical urgency or emergency going on, that you know what you're reading and you can truly give informed consent for what's going on. Okay. Payment. I or my legal representative must pay for the services received during my treatment today. Okay, well, what's interesting about that is I was told that this particular service that I was receiving today, or not today, it was last week on Friday, that I would have no out-of-pockets for it. Expressly told, asked over and over again. So I crossed that part off. If I do not pay for all my services and they send my account to a collection agency, I agree to pay the attorney's fees and collection expenses as permitted by law up to 25% of the money I owe. So if I owed, $1,000, they could tack on and make it $1,250. I crossed that part off. Okay. I don't agree to pay that because I'm not even agreeing to pay for the services for that day anyway. I mean, it says today. They're being very specific, and although I may agree that I may have to pay for other procedures or services provided at some other date, what I was there for that day definitely was not something that I was told that I would have to pay for, not with deductible or anything. In fact, I was told my insurance would likely deny it, but that the company it was being sent to would not then balance bill me. So I crossed that off. Insurance payments and benefits. Here's something else. I understand that assigning my payment of benefits will not relieve me of my obligations to pay this hospital system, their physicians, care providers, and their assignees for charges that are not covered by this assignment. I crossed that off, especially for what I was there for. I was there for a genetic testing, where there would be no out-of-pocket cost to me. That's why I went there. I did not go to the place my insurance wants me to go because they will cover a teeny tiny portion and then I have to pay the rest. And they couldn't even give me an estimate of charges. They just told me it would be in the thousands that I would be responsible for. Well, shoot. I mean, I haven't even reached my GoFundMe maximum yet. And they're already trying to say it's going to be more than that. So no thanks. I went where it was going to be cheaper for me. Again, same paragraph. Don't think that by crossing off one thing that you are catching everything. So I literally read everything on this page. And let me just show you the part that I'm talking about. I crossed off here, but then there was stuff that was okay. But then I get down to the bottom here and the bottom says, I agree to pay the difference between the amount of what my insurance pays and what they bill me for. No, I don't agree to pay that. Okay? Especially since the lady told me my insurance will likely deny it because they no longer work with this particular provider, but that the provider will not do balance billing and will not bill me. I'm going to cover myself on that. Okay? And then there's a part, consumer reports consent. This one is a whole separate thing on this form. I authorize the hospital system, physicians, and care providers or their assignees to get consumer reports from me. Now, and it's a whole long paragraph, and I could have cross the whole thing off, but I just took out, so no one has authorization. Who has authorization? No one. I crossed off all the people that were listed. And then, by the way, when you're doing these things, it's also best to throw your initials. Put your initials right next to the areas that you are modifying. Anytime you are modifying a written contract, it is best to throw your initials right there so it's clear that you are agreeing to that particular change. So do you really want your medical providers to be accessing your credit report? I don't. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? It does not. You have to give me life-saving medical care. And I mean, I have breast cancer. This isn't an elective set of surgeries or treatments by any stretch of the imagination. So no, I don't consent to you looking through my credit report. Not that there's anything wrong in there. I have an over 800 credit score, but it's none of their damn business. You just need to know these things are in here. So another thing, it says here, and hopefully I'm not boring you guys. Hopefully I'm giving you guys information that you find useful. So consent to sharing health information. Again, this is something you got to be careful about how you're reading this. Oh, I'm not good at this. Okay, this is the title, consent to sharing health information. And then what information? So then this is like a part. It doesn't make it necessarily obvious, but this is when you read it so the next section is about that, okay? And so it's A, B, and this is C, and it says, which you can't really see here. Sorry, guys. It says to whom. Okay, so this is the section of who can they share the information with. So down the page, it says business partners. They list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullet points here. And some of them I'm okay with because it's about my treatment. But the fourth one is business partners of the hospital, physicians or care providers who provide administrative, operational, financial, billing, and collection and legal and technical support services. Nope, none of that is about patient care. There are pieces up there that talk about other providers that may be looped in if necessary to, if something happens and they need to get somebody else in for my care. Yes, but not this. This is talking about how they're going to bill me, if they're going to sue me, their technical support issues, collections, their operations, nothing to do with my patient care. So I crossed off who has access, business partners. Nope. I mean, I could have crossed off the whole thing, but I'm undercutting the whole point there. No business partners are allowed to have access to my information. And then it says the organization's institutionally related foundation for fundraising purposes. And the way this is reading, yeah, they want to contact me so that they can raise funds for the hospital. Warning that I did not excuse you to this. Now this one gets funny. Okay, this is the cream of the crop right here. Well, no, one more. I missed one more. Consent to contact. So they're saying that they can contact me on my wireless or cellular number or whatever that I have provided to them. Okay, fair enough. If they have it, right? They can contact me. And maybe there is some sort of billing stuff that I want communication with because they're trying to bill me and I'm trying to get it cleared up. They need to be able to call me back for that purpose, right? At any rate, it says, or at a number that's given to them by a third party helping them to collect debt from me. No, if I didn't give you the phone number, you have no right to call it, period. But this is the cream of the crop right here. This one's special. So there's an effective period, and then this whole form is written, you could tell that it's written in a way that you're supposed to be signing on their electronic devices. It's not supposed to be printed, but I don't care because I don't do that. Actually this one they gave to me to sign anyway. It was already paper clipped and everything. So it says any handwritten changes to this form shall not be legally binding or enforceable. I have read this agreement or have had it read to me. It has been explained to my satisfaction. And that's right above where they highlighted which I'm holding and you can't see, but they highlighted there. So I was supposed to sign that without reading it. I mean, she was expecting me, this was not the person I saw, the provider I saw. This is the front desk person, but she was expecting me, she handed me this, 20-page document and was highlighting it and go, okay, you can sign right there. And I said, okay, I'll take a clipboard and I'll go sit down and read it. I said, I'll just bring it back when I'm done then. Oh, yeah, okay. So they're having you sign that you have read it and that it has been explained to your satisfaction. And they want you to sign that any handwritten changes to this form will not be legally binding or enforceable. Well, guess what? I crossed that part off. I crossed off the part that any handwritten changes are not legally enforceable. Because my consent is only my consent to what I have consented to. They can't turn my consent into something different. So keep your eye on that. So I could have done all those changes and not finished reading to the very last word, and then that would have undermined everything else that I did. You guys need to watch yourselves. You need to be paying attention to this stuff because this stuff is crazy. Let me see if there is anything super important about, oh, this one was even bigger. This was like 25 pages. I actually don't think, so this one, oh, this is all about their privacy policy, I guess, and how they disclose information. Again, we may use information about you to contact you in an effort to raise money for the hospital system and its operations. So again, not for me. We may disclose information to a foundation related to our hospital system so that the foundation may contact you to raise money for the hospital system. Again, you guys got to be able to read this stuff and see what's in there and take your time. Do not let them rush you. Another area, public health risks. These are bullet pointed areas where they have, so they have where we do reporting to the government to report births and deaths, to report child abuse or neglect, recalls, to notify people of recalls of products. So, if you have some sort of defibrillator or whatever, something like that, and they need to know, you need to know, everybody needs to know, so that if there is a recall on that they know how to contact you and be like, whoa, you need to go in and have that taken out or looked at or something. I get that. But this one, to prevent or control disease, injury, or disability. How is sharing my information, especially about breast cancer, going to prevent or control disease, injury, or disability? It's not. And I would probably never sign a consent form that says that in any circumstance, because treating me and sharing my information about that is not going to prevent injury or disability to someone. No. To notify a person who may have been exposed to a disease or may be at risk for contracting or spreading a disease or condition. There's a lot of mays in there, mind you. So we're saying the theoretical possibility of something is going to give them the green light to share your otherwise protected medical information? No. So I cross those two things off. And of course, with my initials. Again, a lot of people might not even ask for the privacy policy, but when they do, they don't really read it. And, I may not always have done that either, but you certainly need to. These are just some of the things in there. I'm just looking through, and most of this seemed fine to me. In fact, what's funny is that it talked about that part about the foundation, that they can contact me to raise money. It said in there, if you don't agree with this part, all you got to do is complete the section in section G of this form. You just follow the directions there to take your name off the list. But when I go to section G, it's talking about having a complaint and filing a complaint with DHHS. That's not going to stop them from calling me. I mean, maybe eventually, but logically, that doesn't make sense. You want me to report to a government entity that you're contacting me pursuant to something I've, in theory, signed saying it's okay for you to do? DHHS is going to say, sorry, you signed a consent form. So no, at first I didn't cross it off there, but when I saw section G didn't actually provide a way for me to not pay for, or not, you know, get calls, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to cross it off then. So, at any rate, it was just those two areas of this form. So those were just 3 forms. All that I shared with you are the concerns that came from 3 forms, and 1 outpatient surgical procedure. The other one was for the genetic testing to see if I'm I can't even talk today, guys. To confirm that I have cancer in my family and to see what other medical recommendations there might be made for that. Anyway, so I just wanted to give you guys some of that, you know, what do your medical consent forms actually say? Read every word. Get them ahead of time if you can. Don't sign them electronically. Have them printed out ahead of time. Or worst case scenario, read them at your appointment. Show up early if you want. Show up 15, 20 minutes. If you're a super slow reader, show up an hour early and say, I need time to be able to read my consent forms. I just want to make sure I'm not leaving anybody hanging with a question. Okay, if you get care, you have to sign these forms. What legality is involved in you saying no to specific parts of the contract? Well, they can't, I mean, a contract is a contract. You cannot be forced. If you're being forced to sign a contract, then there's no free will and it's void. And it's voidable as long as you do something after the fact to remedy that, however that may be. Maybe it's going to court, maybe it's whatever. For me, though, my contract with them does not entail all the stuff I crossed off. And they accepted the forms from me and provided the service. So the fact that they accepted the forms from me and provided the service after I crossed that off means that that is the binding contract we are stuck with between the 2 of us as parties. So that's it. That's the contract. Those are the changes and it's part of the contract. You have legal grounds to omit parts of their contract. Yeah, I mean, if it's not a contract until 2 parties sign it. It's a proposed contract, but until you sign it, it's not a contract. So when you sign it, that is making a contract, and I'm not signing it until those modifications are made. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Oh, it keeps scrolling. Yeah. So somebody who needs, you know, if you have trouble reading, you know, if you have, you know, with spelling, reading, all that stuff, take a patient advocate with you who can read the stuff to you, or grab the forms. And if their waiting room is busy or it's too loud or whatever, then just say, I need, you know, I'm going to need somebody to read this to me. So we're just going to step outside to our car and they're going to read it to me and we'll be right back in. But I want to thank you all for joining today. And let's just keep working together to keep restoring freedom.